Oh, hello, yeah. Well, another week. Nearly Christmas, I suppose, whatever that means. I don't know. It gets to be academic once you reach, well, ancient, doesn't it? Yes. Anyway, quite intriguing yesterday not to see any reform people on the politics sort of Sunday stuff. Quite odd that they don't really want to talk about, well, things that might be out there. Strange that, because normally on the right, what you get is, well, they'll just make tosh up, won't they? And there was a fine example of that on GB News at the weekend with your pal and, well, probably your pal Steve Edgingtion, somebody who I last made a video about when he was, well, working for the Telegraph, going around at the Nat Seas conference. Yes, indeed, asking lots of people how brilliant they all are about, well, Liz Truss primarily. Link down below if you want to watch that. Don't recommend it. It's got me in it. Ugh. Anyway, he decided fearlessly to go to the streets of Portland, Oregon. Yes, the embattled war zone that it is, because of course we all know that it's very, very embattled. And the reason why we know it's very embattled is because we keep being told by people like Steve that it is. Anyway, he went there, link down below again, and well, found a whole bunch of people that probably were going to be violent at some stage in the future. Yes, it's quite an intriguing watch in its own right, because he manages to not find anything other than people just being very peaceful there. Obviously went on an off day, yes. I mean, he does interview some actual demonstrators who, when push comes to shove, and he does pointedly ask them questions about what they might do in a hypothetical situation in the future. Would they hypothetically use violence? And they do say, yes, hypothetically they would, as a reason why somehow they're going to use violence now. A whole bunch of people that he also interviews, some of which we'll have a look at now. There's this guy, Andrew, yeah, ex-Antifa that he is, yeah, bound to be because he's got blue hair. Yes, anyway, that's actually Andrew Constantino. Yes, I've done some digging, and, well, apparently he was sort of saying stuff that Steve wanted to hear, but the problem with Andrew is that he does appear to do the rounds. Yes, here he is with Brandy Cruz from a few months ago. Yes, looking slightly more Antifa, one might say. Anyway, here saying that he's very much agrees with Trump. You see, he's seen the light in the way that people do, because, you know, if you're a progressive Antifa type, you do suddenly see the light, don't you? I'm not poo-pooing what he's saying. Maybe there was some sort of Damascus Road conversion on his part, but it's a bit like, you know, all of those people that get accused of things in this country and suddenly become Christians. That's unfortunately me, being the cynic that I am, want that way. Anyway, this is Brandy Cruz, who you may or may not know. Well, Brandy Cruz also crops up in front of, shock horror, Steve Edgington. Yes, because basically it's her job to tell us how bad Antifa are. So if you want to find out how bad Antifa are, you need somebody who's basically being paid to do it, as indeed are some of the other talking heads in there. So who else might that be? Well, perhaps inevitably there's Andy No. Yes, a man who has made a complete career about being in the faces of people at various Antifa demos, and when he gets milkshakes thrown at him, is very, very upset and has to go running back to his mates in the various militias that he hangs out with, because he does seem to be friends with a lot of people that are patriots, if I can put it that way. Yes, boys or otherwise. Yes, he's a proud boy, basically. It's his job. Now, one does go back to perhaps the heart of all of this, leaving Steve aside, because one has to ask exactly why it is that Portland is somehow a flashpoint. Well, what happened, and if you want to be brutal about it, this ties into Trump's dementia, but it also ties into the rest of the right-wing blogosphere that's out there. People that make a living by talking up how very, very, very dangerous it is to be on the streets of Portland. You know, what with people dancing and being friendly and being approachable and asking, you know, answering questions in very politely to GB News people who, no matter what they will try and spin it, aren't threatening in any way. Well, of course, it goes back to Donald Trump, who saw on Fox News them covering events in Portland, but splicing it, yeah, a bit like the BBC did, splicing the news with shots from 2020. The Black Lives Matter protests. So Donald Trump got very concerned that the entire city was going up in flames and therefore had to send in loads of troops, which the locals weren't happy about. Hence, various demonstrations now, ICE notwithstanding, in Portland. You see, it's a manufactured crisis on behalf of Donald Trump, who, let's face it, does have certain reasons to manufacture crises, doesn't he? Yeah, what with files, which of course are never going to see the light of day because one way or another we can't possibly find out what we already know about people like Donald. Yeah, so we have to manufacture these things, and who better than various people that are our friends that we get paid through various nefarious sources to tell us exactly what we want to hear, which leads us of course very, very neatly to Steve, who does indeed go and see people that tell him what he wants to hear, so he can come back and tell us, well, not us, but via his masters, what they want us to believe. And that's GB News to a T, and that's the right-wing blogosphere and manosphere, or any other sphere you care to mention, to a T indeed. See? If things don't actually exist, they have to be made up. More, you would say that being a lefty. Yeah, but I'm not being paid to do any of this, am I? Certain people are. It's just tosh. It's just tosh. And you're fully entitled to believe that the residents of Portland are cowering because a bunch of people are dancing in dinosaur suits in the street, if you want to. But that's your problem. And on a wider note, one has to say, well, what exactly do people do when nasty authoritarian government agencies come into their lives? What are they expected to do? Because I thought a few years ago, when there was going to be all them FEMA camps that Obama was set up, that there were all these militias that were going to protect the people from an overarching government. But you don't see them, do you? You just get a bunch of people with piercings holding banners and things. Shame that doesn't fit the narrative, really, isn't it? Still, that's reality. Do have a lovely Monday if you can do, and if you can't, well, it's probably your fault, isn't it? Try cheering up a bit, maybe. How's that? Right-wingers taking their own advice. Yeah, bit down, just slap yourself out of it. Get on with it. Get on with it. Yes, it's no wonder the country's going to the dogs. Enjoy.